Hello, guys, and welcome to Miss German Let's Talk. How here we dive into the wildest, funniest, and darkest Reddit stories we can find potentially on our favorite platform, Reddit. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's get right into today's episode. So we have one Reddit user, as usual, who's writing down his name is Peanut Butter Baby, and then there is it's just called Peanut Butter Baby, and I think it's the sweetest thing ever. But anyways, he or she wrote down, what's the most embarrassing moment of your life? So, um, the first story is a bad one. As this commenter says, this is a bad one. Was out for tea with my Vicar. I was struggling and looking in all sorts of places for answers and friends. He asked me casually if my wife and I, both women, ever see other people. I say, oh yes, we have an arrangement because she's asexual and sometimes I hook up with people on the internet for casual sex. My last girlfriend took me to a sex dungeon and holy shit, it was wild in there. No, I don't know why my brain decided to share all of these details. It was just a relief to say all that stuff out loud for once. He gives me a very long stare and then clarifies that he meant, do you have friends aside from one another? I just about died on the inside. I stammered my apologies and literally clutched my head in my hands. I was mortified. You'd think being a vicar, I'm sorry, I don't know what the word means, vicar, he would have heard it all and not be bothered, but he very clearly was bothered because he refused to ever be alone with me in conversation again and avoided me at all costs. Anyway, I'm not a Christian anymore, and the only way I cope with the memory of that encounters is by telling it as hilarious story. Then she edited the comment saying, or no, sorry, someone just Reddit cared me for this comment, lol. I'm fine. This was years ago, and I'm actually really happy and well adjusted now, and my friends love the sex dungeon story. Write me in the comments below what you think about this story. As I have to say it, as a Christian woman, I cannot really comment on that, but everybody goes their ways, I suppose. Next story. So, when I, 33, was around 19, I'd be seeing my now wife for 2 years. I'd been on a big night out and we went back to hers. Last thing she saw of me, I needed to be sick, so went to the toilet. She gets woken by her dad asking her if she could come and get me out of his bed. My cold naked arse had woken him up and I'm refusing to get out of his bed, proclaiming that it's my bed. Her dad is a lovely bloke, but has had a reputation for being a hard man in our town, 6'3", covered in tattoos, and I am none of those things. I still get brought up fairly regularly 14 years later. Well, when you get on like family reunification nights, my guy, or like Thanksgiving dinings, huh? With the whole family, or Christmas, always like a story to tell, isn't it? Anyways, next story. I die whenever I think of this. Chemistry lesson in college, 2003. Oh my god, 2003? You must be a boomer. Okay, I was shy and a bit of an introvert, but I would try and join in on any joke to seem popular and make people laugh. Yeah, guys, don't do this. Like, if it's not funny or you don't think something is funny, then don't laugh because that makes you not better than anybody else. And if you try to join in by saying something like stupid and random, then just be silent. You be the more intelligent guy in the room if you just stay silent, or girl. A girl in a class had recently started seeing a boy in college, and they were always kissing and holding hands from class to class. Anyway, she was late to chemistry class and walked in after the register, and it was highlighted by the teacher. Well, you know, teenagers. The comment and cheering from the class started, woohoo, kissing lover boy, where are you? Having sexy time, etc. Then they started cheering about how flustered and she looked. She looks a bit red. She's out of breath. You can tell they've been kissing. Look at her wrinkled claws. Me wanting to join in, searched for something to say and yelled out, "Yeah, she's walking funny too." Silence. You see, the girl had spina bifida, and often needed crutches to walk. I knew this, but in my head, the comment was entirely related to the ribbing of her being late due to her romantic entanglements. Anyways, that was the day I died. Well, my guy, this is like just perfect as a revenge from God for you. Like, I'll be honest with you, if you have to jump in, right, just to like say something bad about another person who just came in late to chemistry class, and okay, it's really, really bad by just like because of the spina bifida, you forgot for a second, but like the room went silent. That's actually hilarious. It's brilliant. But yeah, it's kind of, you kind of deserve it. You do, because you wanted to like get in, and then you, well, it turned backwards for you. Next story. I had a mate in school when we were doing one of those weird math and logic tests where you start out with 20 points, get -1 for every wrong answer, and +4 or whatever for every right one. Oh, that's the worst one for me. Oh my God, I hate those kind of exercises. What if something like, don't get me wrong, but if you do those logic tests or like math problems or whatsoever, and you, for everything that you're doing wrong in a test, and you get minus points, I think this is just straight out of hell to do such a thing as a teacher or whatsoever, or a professor. Because see, this is, if it's wrong, it's wrong. You learn from your mistake. You don't have to give a minus point to make it even worse, right? And if it's right, then give them as many points as possible. Anyways, most of us realized immediately that that meant that for every question you were sure of, you could take a punt of 3 to 4 others and still end up with half a decent score. My mate then didn't. He just answered as many as he could in time, most of them, and ended up with a final score of 18. He wasn't too upset until we pointed out that if the chair he sat on had done the test, it would have answered no question and got a score of 20, making him officially dumber than furniture. Oh, that's mean, guys. Don't say that. That's actually mean. Like, he probably did really, really well. And then those freaking tests that like gives you minus point just fucked them over. That's not funny. That's mean, guys. That's mean. Let's go to the next story, okay? Um, well, I was 7 and playing in a climbing frame. I had managed to squeeze through a ladder bar that connected the two climbing frame. The third time, my head didn't pass through and I was stuck suspended by my neck. I had to be held up by my feet so I didn't choke. The fire brigade had to be called out and cut me out. There was a crowd of around 40 people seeing the drama unfold. The next day, the climbing frame had out of order on it. I feel like that's like one of those universal experiences that some of us have. So don't worry about it. Not too embarrassing. Then we have our last and long story for today. A few years back, I had a mean case of writer's block. So I decided to take a creative writer course, try to shake something loose. Okay. First lesson teacher was a really nice but incredibly hyperactive American lady. Spent the first half of the lesson talking about some of her favorite writers. She said she was particularly a fan of Laurie Penny and asked if any of the class had heard of her. At this point, should mention I was the only guy in the course. My hand shot up. I said I was a big fan of her work and had been for a while. Teacher, looking rather surprised, asked what my favorite work of her was. Full of confidence, I replied, "Well, I've loved a lot of stuff she's done, but if pressed, I'd say my favorite was Tank Girl." There was a moment of stunned silence. Then, with an expression that screamed, "Yup, that's exactly what I expected," the teacher informed me that I was thinking of Laurie Petty, not Laurie Penny. Is a critical essayist known for her work on gender and sexuality. She has never, as far as I know, been in a movie where she drives around in a tank with her talking kangaroo friend. Shit happens, okay? Like, maybe you didn't hear her, so it's more an acoustic problem rather than, a problem of not knowing, a problem of lack of knowledge, but there is a reason why you are or were in a course. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's stories, I would say. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back soon with more crazy Reddit stories. See you soon. Bye.